All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I remember when I was a child, the most popular pop star in the world by far was Michael Jackson. And in the process of the mainstream media lionizing and idolizing Michael Jackson, they would always reflect back on his musical history, of course, with the Jackson 5, and they would always mock one of his brothers, that being Tito, who, for those of us who listen to the Jackson 5's music, Tito was a very talented instrumentalist. But they would always mock him and try to marginalize him and minimize what he brought to the group. Draymond Green is Tito Jackson. He's that dude that you're not quite sure what he brings to the group until he's gone. Because a lot of what makes Draymond are based on his intangibles. Draymond Green has intangibles that many other players in the league just do not have. He has that dog in him. He's one of the few players in the league that basketballers from the 1980s and 90s would say, you know what, he could have played in our era. And that's what's made him the leader, the spiritual leader, the mental leader, and the emotional leader of the Golden State Warriors, or at least the active leader. The real unseen hand leader is Steph Curry. Steph Curry divests authority over the team to Draymond because he knows that Draymond needs to feel like he's in command or in authority over the team so that he can be fully invested. So Steph Curry is mature enough to say to himself, I'll let Draymond do that because I know that Draymond needs that. Plus, Steph does not have that emotional verve that Draymond has. Either way, for whatever reason, people think that Draymond is extremely replaceable. I myself, at the start of this season, when Draymond had that huge blow up with Kevin Durant, stated that I was of the belief that I will consider trading KD before trading Draymond because I understand what Draymond brings to the table. And I've seen Golden State be extremely successful without KD. I've never seen them be extremely successful without Draymond. I just have not seen it. But over the course of this season, Draymond's play has been relatively subpar, and I had to change my position a tad. But now that he's starting to bounce back, I have to start giving him the credit that he deserves. Well, Paul Pierce is still not willing to give Draymond the credit that he deserves. He still wants to talk about him like he's Tito Jackson. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Warriors owner Joe Lacob telling Tim Kawakami of The Athletic about his free agency plans, quote, I think we'll continue to have a good team, if not a great team, and try to hopefully be title contending for as long as we can.
Let me say this. As I've been watching the Golden State Warriors this season, and I've said this in other videos, there's a reason why they keep winning championships, because they don't get complacent. If they still had the same team that they have in 2015, I don't think that they would be the odds-on favorites to win the NBA championship. Because the rest of the teams in the league have taken such a quantum leap from what we saw in 2015. They all basically play in a similar style to the Golden State Warriors. And you can see that the struggle is far more severe when the Warriors play many of these other teams to cement the victory. Back in the 2014-2015 season, there were games where Steph Curry was done by the end of the third quarter. Early in the fourth quarter, Steve Kerr would take him and Klay Thompson out, and that would be that. Steph averaged about 31 minutes a game that season. The next year, he averaged about 32 minutes a game. That's what made his season that year, without a doubt, in my view, one of the top 5 single-season performances by an individual in the history of the NBA. He averaged about 32 minutes a game and averaged about 30 points a game, 50% shooting from the field at his stature, with the type of shots that he takes. I'm not quite sure if you can find 4 individual seasons that were as impactful as his on a team that won as many games as they won in that regular season. But the rest of the teams in the league thereafter, after that 2016 season, they've caught up to Golden State. And it's a good thing that they signed KD, and it's also a good thing that they signed DeMarcus Cousins before this season, because they're going to need DeMarcus if they stand any chance of winning this championship. If they did not have DeMarcus Cousins, and certainly if they didn't have KD, they probably would not be the favorites to win the championship this season.
We will be aggressive. Nobody's going to outspend us. Nobody's going to outwork us. This is like a locker room speech from a coach. Luxury tax implications obviously only get bigger and bigger, but they do have a new arena that should, I know it's called the Chase Center. I think it's just going to be called the ATM because it prints money.
People have to understand that the Bay Area is the richest and most affluent area in the country. So their money scale is going to be extremely different. When you talk about the NBA luxury tax, it's not going to affect the Golden State Warriors franchise anywhere near as much as it would affect other teams because of how much revenue they're going to be bringing in with that new stadium, with the sponsors, and with the ticket prices.
What do you think of this decision? If the Warriors signed Durant and Thompson to max deals, their top 4 players alone would be $20 million over the cap, luxury tax. Ooh.
What would that look like?
I think the luxury. Eventually, someone gamed this out, right? That the luxury tax bill could end up being like $300 million on its own.
Yeah, because of repeater.
Repeater tax. You have a payroll that's between $300 and $400 million, and then you have a tax.
You gotta have a bankroll to pay $300 million.
Did you hear what she called the new arena? The ATM. They're gonna have that bankroll. Woo. Rachel, this is the only logical way that the Warriors can take and survive a fallout if things fall apart, people leave, right? You can, because you can control only what you can control.
Right.
Them saving money will not allow them to sign new guys or more guys or anything. All it does is save money in their pockets. So you can't destroy this thing or tear it down because you were trying to be cute and save a couple dollars.
Absolutely. They're not going to make the same mistake that the Chicago Bulls made in the late 90s, trying to be cute, trying to act like they're going to stay ahead of the curve. We're going to break this team up. That team should have been allowed to get old. Allow them to get old and make a team beat them, because I promise you, had they brought that late 90s Bulls team back for another season, they would have won again in 99. The Spurs would not have beaten them.
Here and there. If a guy wants to leave because, hey, I want something new, I want to go to New York and fix that, or whatever, you didn't control that. All you can say is, hey, man, you stay here, we're going to keep winning championships forever. But the moment you give them a reason other than something that is not winning to leave, then that's their fault. And so this is the only approach they can take.
That tax bill, I'm still...
Man, don't cry for them, Paul. They're making money. They're making more money than they're spending.
First of all, the guys who own this team are Silicon Valley venture capitalists.
I was just focused on keeping it like, all right,
and the team itself is making so much money. Klay Thompson,
Curry, you good, you win. Klay, you good. We'll figure out the rest.
Oh, man.
Draymond's out in the
fold. We got another year tax bill.
Right, it's
like, come on.
I don't think they have another year with Draymond, in that he will want his extension this summer. Yes, they own his rights for another year, like we talked at the top of the show. They control him for another year. But I do think if he's not happy with the extension they give him this summer, he's going to want out to go to a team that will give him bigger pay.
No, Draymond's going to act like he wants out. That's what he's going to do. It's going to be like the couple that breaks up, and as the guy's leaving, he's saying, so you sure that's what you want? Baby, you sure you want this to be over? That's going to be Draymond if it ever gets to that point where the Warriors tell him, look, we just can't afford you. Draymond knows where his bread is buttered.
But I think at the end of the day, you spend the money because this is as guaranteed as you get to a ring. Because once this ends, Paul, how long is it going to take him to win another one?
I think I can find somebody that can come close to Draymond.
I don't think you'll find him.
But you ain't going to find another KD. You ain't going to find another Steph.
That's true.
And you ain't going to find another Klay.
That's true. And I don't think you're going to find another Draymond either.
No, you can find somebody close to him.
That's difficult, to find somebody close to Draymond Green, what Draymond does. Like, he plays a point power forward, damn near point center. He can try to guard centers. He's not quite the defensive player that he was a couple of years ago. But Draymond, when everything is properly calibrated and, you know, he's playing his best basketball, he's one of the top 20 most impactful players in the league. Unfortunately, his shot is broken. At one time, Draymond was good from three. Right now, it looks like he's shooting a basketball with a book bag on. Motherfucker like he going camping. He got one of them big-ass camping book bags on when he shoot a basketball. But, I mean, other than that, Draymond just knows the system. He's not a max player. He'd be making a big mistake trying to demand the max. I think that at the most, he should be requesting maybe about $25 million. But Draymond fits in perfectly for what they do. And he knows the system inside and out. And he's a great coach on the floor.
For a cheaper price.
You got to give me a name.
We have seen owners balk at the luxury tax bill. And so what Joe Lacob is saying does run counter that. Look what happened in Miami, where they amnestied Mike Miller, which upset LeBron and was really sort of the piece that came out before they, you know, after those championship runs. And it was to save money. It was for no other reason.
There's two things. One is the amnesty Mike Miller. They didn't give up on one of the core guys. And then the second thing is, again, Miami was not as much of a sure bet as these guys are. These guys are literally, you spend the money, we're going to win this championship.
I mean, they had LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. They were good.
But they weren't this level lock. These guys are lock.
I agree.
No one's ever been like this.
No,
LeBron did
no.
fight.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see what happens with that whole Draymond Green situation. Once again, Paul Pierce is going to have to learn to put respect on Draymond Green's name. Maybe he's still mad that Draymond told him that he ain't Kobe. Who the hell knows? But what Draymond Green has done for this team, he's been that great. I mean, just to provide a metaphor, he's been like a great left tackle on a Super Bowl winning football team. He's not going to get much of the acclaim, but what he does, what he brings to the table, cannot be replaced. So peace.